You thought they would choose you, but they didn't. Now you're questioning your worth. What if I was to tell you that rejection is not the end of the story, but actually the beginning of your journey? If you really think about the context of rejection, even Jesus himself dealt with rejection. So what is it to us, and why is it that we have a hard time with accepting rejection? Now, rejection, the opposite of that is the acceptance part. And many times we have this idea that we want to be accepted by everybody for everything, especially if it's something that you've applied yourself to, if it's something that you put your last into, you put a lot of work into this thing. But in all, rejection is not the end. Rejection is nearly the beginning. Now in this video, we're going to break down the reality of rejection and why you should not be afraid and concerned about rejection. Now I'll be real, I had my moments too where I wasn't chosen for certain things. I applied for certain jobs. I knew I was well qualified for. And these were jobs too where I actually knew I qualified for, but for the sake of, oh, well, somebody else knew the person that owned the company or was running the business, got the job. And, you know, it's kind of like one of those things, like it is what it is, right? But I remember just like, even with sports, even with jobs, even with my friends, some family, rejection, it hurts. Rejection hurts. Rejection is one of those things where we as humans have a hard time grasping. We have a hard time looking at rejection as a opportunity. We see rejection as end all be all. Again, especially if it's something that you've been working towards so hard for. For example, if you went to college, right, you spent these 4 years, you spent countless hours of trying to get this degree, you specialize in the things, all those 4 years, you paid your tuition, you do all the great things, and now you leave college and you are accepting rejection letter after rejection letter, you're accepting job denials, and it doesn't feel good because you know you're qualified. You know you're qualified for these jobs that you're doing or you're trying to apply for, but rejection it can merely take you out and make you question your whole existence. Rejection can make you feel as if you're questioning your whole existence. Like, why did I even go to school? Why did I even do X, Y, and Z to get just here to be rejected over and over and over again? Now, there's been studies that have been conducted to where the feeling of rejection is actually the equivalent to physical pain. Neurologically speaking, that when you feel rejection, it's just the same as you feel physical pain, even though you're not in any physical harm. But that emotional toll is your brain still responding as if you've got physically hurt. It's like somebody punched you in your face. Why do you feel it? Why do you think it is when you feel rejection? You feel these knots in your stomach. You feel your body going cold. You feel anxious. You feel depressed because your brain is telling you that you're in harm. You know, your feelings been hurt. You're in a space where you're in distress. So your body's going to automatically does what the body does and try to heal or try to amend or work on dealing with that hurt. And many times when it comes to the emotional standpoint with rejection, that's how your body's going to respond to it. But the reality is rejection does not equate to your worth. The part of you being rejected in the areas of your life, where if it is with family, friends, even in your relationships, dating, whatever it may be, that rejection part does not mean that you're not good enough. The rejection part does not mean that you are not qualified. The rejection part is actually something you can grasp onto if you know how to grasp onto it and utilize it as a tool. You can literally utilize the rejection as a tool. And the tool that you have to utilize rejection as is redirection. Rejection is not your worth. Rejection is redirection. Now, from a mental health standpoint, you have to be willing to accept rejection. You just have to be willing to accept it, especially if you're trying to get to the next level of your life. You have to be willing to accept rejection because when you can accept rejection, you're not going to equate it to, oh, well, this is the end all be all, or I'm unworthy. What you would do with rejection is you would take it as not feeding into that I'm not worthy or I'm not good enough. You will feed it into, well, this is the signal that I need to redirect my path. I don't need to sit in this, but I need to look at this as a redirection, troubleshoot, and be solution focused at this point. I need to take rejection as, okay, well, now I know that wasn't for me. And that's the hard part, is accepting that something you've been trying to get qualified for, or you're trying to work on, even in your degrees or whatever it may be, or you've been working so long to get it, realizing and humbling yourself and realizing that, hey, that actually was not for me. That wasn't for me. Now, Jesus himself was rejected and despised by men. And we can see this in Isaiah 53:3, where Jesus was actually despised and rejected by men. And this was actually leads up to a lot of the parts where he was crucified, was people were not accepting him for who he said he was, right? And I think this is the flip part when we talk about us trying to be in alignment, where if we know our assignment, then we can be more in alignment with what God has for us. Now, if we're saying, okay, well, I need to be doing this over here, this over here, this over here, and that's not what your assignment is, you're going to associate that rejection with who you're supposed to be. You're going to accept that rejection as, okay, well, this is who I was supposed to be, and now I can't be that, so I'm worthless. Well, with Jesus, Jesus knew who he was. Jesus knew the walk and the path that would come when it led up to his crucifixion. He understood his assignment. The question is, now, do you accept your assignment? There's many folks, even with Joseph in the Bible, where his first act in becoming who he's supposed to be was he had to be rejected by his brothers so that he can be in the position God put him to be. There had to be a level of rejection there in order for him to get to that point. Now, time and time again, we take the rejection not as redirection. Now, part of overcoming this is, one, you have to validate how you feel. You have to recognize that the rejection does hurt. You have to recognize the rejection does hurt. Now, yes, we can say, well, don't accept the rejection and things that, like, we can go on there, but for you to overcome, you have to recognize, like, what is it doing for you? Don't be in denial about it. Don't be like, well, it doesn't bother me and I'm just gonna woo woo. It does bother you. It does bother you. And that's okay for the point and purpose of recognizing that it hurts. But the challenge is to not allow it to determine who you are, not allow it to determine your purpose in life, not allowing it to determine why God has placed you on this earth. Reframe the meaning of you being rejected. Instead of saying that I was not good enough, reframe. Give yourself another way of saying it. You can literally tell yourself that this was not in alignment for me. God did not have this for me. Now, the part of that with that is, are you trusting God when it comes to your direction in your life? Are you trusting that He is going to lead you? He's going to be your provider. He's going to put you in places and rooms that was unrecognizable for you. But because you were rejected so many times, those rejections led up to you being where you actually need to be. Not where, let's say where you want to be, but where you really need to be in your life to be in alignment with God. Now, rejection is part of the human experience. Rejection is part of the human experience. And when we can build resilience by deepening our faith in understanding what God has for us, and understanding that it's not about what I want in this moment, but it's about me becoming the person that God will would be pleased for me to be. Because I'm a firm believer that we are here to please God, but to serve man. We're not here to please man and serve God. We are here so that we can be what God really wants us to be. So know that you're not broken. It's not too late. The rejection doesn't mean that you are a failure. It doesn't mean that you are not going to succeed in life. You are. There's so much more planted and seeded in your life that is going to sustain and surpass what you can actually imagine. But don't take that so personally to the point where it blocks your blessing. Don't take it so hard. Don't personalize it. It's okay. Again, I've been rejected more times than I've been accepted throughout my whole entire life. But when I look at rejection at the standpoint now, it's like, okay, well, that wasn't for me. I accept it. Now I know which way not to go. Now I know which way I need to go. Now, if this blessed you, make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all the great things to keep these videos going. And I appreciate y'all for tapping in. Make sure you guys check out some of these other videos here around mental health, faith, and relationship. Until next time, y'all take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Peace.